Hey guys, what's up? It's Addy here, back with another video, and this is my first ever video with NBA 2K18. And honestly, I love it so far. I'm sure the real 2K enthusiasts know what I'm talking about. It's a great game, solid game. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'll be coming out with a bunch of videos for you guys about the game. And I also picked up FIFA 18 and COD World War II, so expect some games from those as well. But let's get into the video. And today, I'm talking about mainly stuff that's happening with the Cavs, but I do want to address how well the Celtics season is going. I mean, honestly, I couldn't have wished for a better start from them. I mean, they went 16 games in a row until the streak getting ended by obviously Miami, who played a great game. And I mean, that game was pretty solid. I don't want to get too much into it, but honestly, I just thought that when you play games like those and you have such a big streak, once in a while you're gonna lose because things happen. And they made a great comeback, but still weren't able to win. So anyway, let's get right to it. So Deandre Jordan, the Clippers, they're having a very rough time. There's been rumors of Doc Rivers getting fired. I mean, Blake Griffin played pretty solid in the beginning, but all in all, without Chris Paul, this team just doesn't look the same, and they need to go back into rebuilding. And I guess getting rid of Deandre is the way to go for them. I mean, honestly, DeAndre Jordan isn't really. I mean, he's at a pretty old age now. I mean, he's fine for a team like the Cavs or a team that's looking for a center. But if you want to rebuild, it's going to take you years. Some teams like the Celtics and others who get lucky picks, make good choices. They rebuild fast. But as for the Clippers, they don't have any big rookies in their future. They need to really tank kind of and build their way back up. So starting with that, getting rid of guys like DeAndre, maybe keeping Blake. I don't have a problem. I don't think you should get rid of everybody you have, but honestly, it is kind of like a fresh start, and DeAndre could help them get good picks. And I would really look at the Cavs. The Cavs is a perfect scenario for both sides. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been playing okay. They haven't been playing as good as the Celtics or as good as they should be. They have Dwayne Wade. They have, I mean, obviously Isaiah Thomas isn't playing, and once he comes back, he averaged almost 30 points a game last year, and he's a guy who's always very undermined, but he's going to come in and really make the Cavs very, very solid. So looking at it from that perspective, they're not very off from where they should be. I mean, basically they're playing without the guy who they traded for Kyrie, so no Kyrie basically. And they have guys like Dwayne Wade. Obviously, Derrick Rose got injured, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But DeAndre makes a lot of sense for them. Tristan Thompson hasn't been doing much for them off the bench, and DeAndre Jordan would be a great addition as a starter. He's obviously a guy who can just stand up in the paint and become like a brick wall. He's a great defensive player to add on to your team. And obviously, it'd be another guy for LeBron to throw oops to, who wouldn't want to see that. I mean, honestly, that would be a great addition, but I still do think there's a couple flaws in that because, obviously, down the road, whoever wins, you're probably going to be playing the Warriors, most likely. And if you are playing the Warriors, it's not really about height or about strength to them. It's more about, can you guard their short lineup? And I don't really think DeAndre can guard guys like Iguodala or Draymond Green, but he could help on the other end and in killing them off. He could be very destructive because they don't have many good big men. So if he can come up big to them for that, that could be very interesting as well. But, and it's good for the Clippers because obviously the Cavs are holding on to that really good pick the Celtics gave them. And they have some young guys they possibly could give them. But mostly, if I'm the Clippers, I'm looking for Tristan Thompson, who's a pretty young guy, solid player. Maybe guys like Iman Shumpert, maybe J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, somebody in that range who can come in, be a decent role player. And then going along with that, you could pick up a guy like Michael Porter Jr., a guy like Marvin Bagley the third, something like that, and that can go far. That gives you a clear cutout star for the future. That is a perfect scenario for the Clippers because you've got Blake Griffin, who's not old. He can be the leader of the team. He's been playing solid this year, and then you got maybe you make some good signings, and then you've got guys like Bryce Johnson, sorry, and obviously Michael Porter Jr. in this case, who I'd probably see being the favorite if they do have that first pick. And DeAndre Jordan, he can come up big for other teams too. The Celtics, they have Al Horford, but Al Horford's not exactly what DeAndre Jordan can do. Jordan is more of a huge presence down low, and he's more of a defensive master. I mean, he can really come in and do a lot of damage, and he's more, I think he's more strong and more athletic in the paint. Al Horford can stretch the floor, but DeAndre can throw it down. So you have to look at it both ways, and that could be hard for the Celtics to match. And once Isaiah comes back, it'll be good to have a guy like that in the paint, because guys like Kyrie and John Wall and Russell Westbrook, these guys will get by Isaiah Thomas like that. So you need a guy in the paint who can do some damage block-wise and kind of force them to shoot outside shots, because Kyrie will go right past Isaiah in the big moments, because obviously Isaiah had like the worst or one of the worst defensive ratings last year. That's not going to change. He's not going to suddenly become like Avery Bradley. He's going to be good offensively, no doubt about that. I believe that. But going forward, they need to look at a way to pick up their defensive strategy, because the point guards in this league will not stop for Isaiah. They will go right past him. And moving on to my next topic, Derrick Rose, some sad news. He got injured again this year. He's considering retiring, and this is tough to hear for me, honestly. I was never a huge Derrick Rose fan, but I used to watch him in his prime. I watched him as MVP, and I hate to say that was his prime, but there's no other way to say it. Injuries really killed him, and that's a career that that he could have been like a legendary player, yet still being one of the best point guards in the league. He could have been, but instead injuries got him. Tore his ACL. That was the first thing to really go down, and then I think he might have torn his MCL as well, but obviously the ACL, I really feel like that was the thing that started it. And if you watched him back when he was like 22, 23, when he won the MVP, youngest to ever do it. Obviously Giannis probably up there possibly if he wins this year, but Derrick Rose, I used to watch him and I was like, this guy's something special. Honestly, the way he attacked the bucket for Chicago, he was just a very different type of point guard. The athleticism on him was it was perfect. Just watching him, it was crazy, the layups he would make. So to see that, he'd be considering retiring at the age of like 29, 28, it's tough to see, and I have nothing but respect for him, but honestly, it's unfortunate. I would hope that he doesn't, but at this point, it wouldn't. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense for him not to, but it's just tough to see because he's such a good player. And honestly, I thought, for real, I really thought that this year was the year he would make a comeback. LeBron is the type of guy who can really help you do that. And, you don't have to be the main ball handler. You can just come in there and give it your all. So I felt like Derrick Rose could come in there and just be a solid part of the Cavs, because he took a lot of pay cut from last year, obviously, and I felt that having LeBron, a guy who's such a great playmaker, it can really help you revive your career, and guys have done it before with LeBron. So honestly, it's a tough thing to hear, but I see where he's coming from. And nothing's finalized yet, but honestly, I would lean towards probably him doing it, because it doesn't really look good for him at all. But I would hope he gives it another try. I did want to see Derrick Rose. Obviously, I don't think he'll be the best point guard in the league ever again. I don't think he'll be back to his MVP level ever again, because injuries like ACLs and his back injuries and things, the ankle, he's been hurt basically every season since he tore his ACL. Those kind of things don't go away, and obviously they they take away from how good you could be. So I mean, I do think maybe before he could have been like the best point guard ever, maybe before, but now, obviously those injuries, they add up. You can heal from them, but your body won't be as athletic, your body won't be as perfect as it could be, and his play style, the way he plays, the athleticism it needs to take to be MVP Rose, it's hard. It's not something you can just come out of nowhere and do. I mean, his moves, his layups, all these things were very complex shots. So, I mean, it's tough for him. I mean, he comes in and he still shows a little bit of that old essence when I see him play these days, but still, I mean, he probably can't get back to that level because he played at such a high level before, and the athleticism you needed to match that, it's not easy. So, honestly, I do hope he gives it another chance. I hope, down the line, maybe if he does retire, maybe he becomes like an analytic or something like that. A person who keeps track of the NBA. I want him to stay involved. Maybe he becomes some kind of trainer or something for guys. I do hope he kind of sticks around because he is. I mean, he used to be a very great player, and it's tough to see an injury take that away from him. So, I wish the best of luck to Derrick Rose, but it seems that even if he does come back at this point, it won't be as good as it was, and the revival of his career seems to be going further and further away from his chances. So, honestly, I mean, I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he sticks around, but if not, then, I mean, his career is something to really look at because you can really learn a lot from him. The way his play style before, it was very successful, and obviously there are some threats to playing the way Derrick Rose did, because I do believe that his play style had a big part of why these injuries occur. When you use that much of athleticism and you shoot all these different types of shots, I mean, his layups, they were very different type of maneuvers, and the way you land, I'm pretty sure all the layups, the way he landed really hurt his knee, and it slowly built up. I've seen videos about this and things like that that really showed that the reason could have been that it's the way he landed, the way his landing wasn't good, and but, down the line, that athleticism obviously went down and down and down. So I wish him the best. And going back to DeAndre Jordan, I think that could be a very great option for the Cavs. Obviously I'm a Celtics fan. Most people know that by now. But so I wouldn't want this to happen. But if I did, from a Clipper fan standpoint and from a Cavalier fan standpoint, I would do this because, I mean, DeAndre is another big part of trying to keep LeBron, because this season, people can't forget that this is LeBron's free agency season. After this, he could go to the Lakers, he could go somewhere else. So if you bring in a guy like DeAndre who helps them win games, you're doing something in your part to keep LeBron on your side. So I think this is very good for both teams. I'm not sure how willing the Cavs are to pull the trigger on Tristan Thompson, but at this point, I don't think they're benefiting at all from keeping him on the bench and not using him to their full potential. So, I mean, honestly, they need to look into that more, and they'll see what happens. But for me, I think this trade is a banger. This trade is A+ for me because both sides get what they want. The Cavs increase their defensive capacity, and the Clippers obviously will get better in terms of rebuilding. And Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, these guys can really help you speed up that process. So, yeah, and back to Derrick Rose. I mean, there's no sure thing yet, but I'm pretty sure he's leaning towards that. That's what most of the news is saying. So I wish him the best of luck, and I hope he comes back. But if not, I hope he sticks around. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. I just made a cover of Location. If you haven't seen that, check that out. That's been doing really well. So thanks so much for all the support, guys. Also, check out the Kyrie Irving dressing mix I made about a couple days ago on the same day. So yeah, I'll just keep making these videos, guys. And thank you so much for the 2.3K subscribers. We've been growing really quickly, and I hope, I mean, we went really quick, so I hope it keeps growing that way. So thanks so much, guys. Peace.